Good morning and welcome to the interview with Missing Money Lady, Mary Pitman. I'm Kathy Nelson. I am a business strategist and certified management consultant. But one of my passions is helping leaders align with their mission, which increases their authority and advances them in the marketplace. So one of the focuses this quarter is about money and business. We're just minding our money and minding our business. And in conversations I have with my network, with my clients, with my family, every once in a while you hear this wish that someone would just, you'd receive this inheritance of this massive money just to kind of solve all your problems. And this wishful thinking of, I wonder if there is money out there. And, one of the things I've discovered after meeting Mary Pitman is that there is a lot of money out there that's waiting for their rightful owners to claim it. It's lost for multiple reasons. And so as we chat with Mary today, some of the things we're going to talk about are the National Find Your Missing Money Day, which is April 16th. We're going to talk about the tie-in to the Holocaust Remembrance Day, and just get acquainted with some tips and insights on how you can find missing money. So I'm going to ask Mary to come to the screen, and I'll let her give you a little background. Mary is a speaker, an author, and consultant. I'll tell you how she got into this. So welcome, Mary.
Thanks so much for having me, Kathy. I've been doing this now for about 5 or 6 years. I've had my book out for the past 4 years. I got into it because one of my friends at work told me about this, and I kind of rolled my eyes and thought, oh my God, you are so gullible. This is obviously a scam. So I looked into it with the intent of showing her where the scam was, because I'm smarter than she was. I found 2 listings for my father, who died indigent in 2001. And I thought, well, there you go. That shows you what a scam it is. Why would they put somebody on here who's indigent? And then I thought, how would they know he's indigent? How would they know he's looking? Hey, maybe I have money. And I did. I filled out the paperwork, and it's a little bit more involved when there's a death. But about 5 weeks later, I ended up with a check in my hand for over $2,500. I became a believer.
I bet.
And then I ran out of friends and family to look up, so I began looking up the doctors on the call schedule at work, and I ended up finding money for about 3/4 of them, and it just grew from there. I began listening to her, and when I took it up to her, it was just about in tears. She said that she had been getting calls and letters from attorneys and businesses saying that she had missing money, but they all wanted a lot of money to help her. Mm-hmm. One guy wanted $700, another one wanted $2,100. She said, I was determined to find this on my own, but I didn't know where to begin. Mm-hmm. And I said, I will help you. And as I walked away, I thought, I should put my search tips together in a book. Maybe just a little book, maybe even just a little booklet, just a little book of missing money. And that's how it began.
That's awesome. And you told that story, you shared that story with me the other day about how this one gal that got the money, that you were able to advise her about how to wait so she could receive that money free and clear. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I have a friend who is a stockbroker, and he contacted me asking if I would do him a favor and help one of his clients. She was contacted by a finder who told her that there was $325,000 from her husband's estate. She could not believe there was that much money out there, but still, it sounded legitimate, and the finder wanted 1/3 of it.
Wow.
So over $100,000. And I told her it has to be stock for that kind of money, and if you just wait it out, it'll go to the state. And she's like, no, I don't want it to go to the state. I said, no, when it goes to the state, you can claim it for free. I said, so what if you have to wait a year? It's $100,000 for a year.
Yeah.
And she waited, and she got her money.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome. That is so cool. One of the things you mentioned, and I think the statistics show that $4.17 billion are nationwide are waiting to be claimed. And I was asking you why, because this information, it's not necessarily new information. On some counts, if we've had anybody pass away, we know that there could be other assets that, annuities or those kind of things that we could pursue. But yet we don't take the action. We were talking a little bit before this call. What's the #1 reason people don't take the action to pursue this?
Because just like me, everybody believes it can't apply to them. When I was looking on the sites, I was looking with the intent of finding the scam. I never considered that there would be anything for me, because what would be there for me?
Yeah.
It was wrong. And that's the number one thing. Even when I tell people, they don't believe it.
You don't believe it. Wow. Well, and I know that we'll mention this at the end of the call too, but we have posted the link so that people can get the free chapter of your first book, which is whether to pay finder's fees or not. So I'm sure that's a helpful piece of information. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what's in the little book of Missing Money?
Well, it started out being just my search tips, because I found so many different ways that you can search. One of my favorite tips is, if you're looking up a deceased relative, where it asks for the last name, enter various forms of estate of, the estate of, for the estate of, to the estate of, and you can also abbreviate estate to EST, both with and without a period. Punctuation and spaces will give you different results. In California alone, that will bring up over 40,000 listings. And those are listings that if you don't know how to look for it, they'll sit there forever. And I have lots of other tips like that. And then I began finding additional places for money that it doesn't get turned over to the state. For example, there's 40 million savings bonds worth an estimated $16.5 billion that are waiting to be claimed. Federal money doesn't get turned over to the states, although some states are now enacting laws where they can take those listings for people that lived in their state. There's dollars in forgotten pensions. Again, federal money doesn't get turned to the state. And some of these listings are for companies that have gone bankrupt. Who would think to look for a pension from a bankrupt company?
That's right. That's right.
I also have information on how to prevent your money from going to the state, which I am a huge advocate of, because if people knew how easy it was, what simple steps they needed to do to prevent it, there wouldn't be this massive amount of money getting turned over to the states.
That's interesting. And you mentioned that each state has different requirements, or has different, maybe different requirements or different listing issues. So you have in the book what state requirements are for different states, correct?
Well, as far as finders go, and whether or not they take your gift card balance.
Okay. And I don't know what that means, gift card balance. Tell me a little bit more about that.
This is not a consumer-friendly practice. It's a horrible practice. Let's say you're in Oregon and you buy a gift card from, let's say, Target, and you send it to me in Florida, and it gets stuck in the back of my drawer. I don't find it for a few years. I pull it out and go to use it, and they say there's nothing on the card. Well, how can that be? Well, the money got turned over to the state. But here's the thing. Then I have to remember who gave me that card, because the laws of the state where the card was purchased is what governs what happens to it. It's a horrible practice.
I've heard stories about that, just in terms of, not necessarily about the missing money element, but just the fact that gift cards, different providers start charging a fee after it's a year, or those kind of things, so that it eventually whittles down to nothing. So to be able to, track your gift cards when you buy them, check with the people if they're, to actually track the value of the gift that you've given, whether it's a thank you for a business referral or whether it's a gift to your family or kids out of state.
Right. And those charges are supposed to be very upfront, so that there is no doubt, there is no question that people know what they're buying and what fees, if any, are involved.
That's interesting. Well, that's really interesting. So it does make you think the next time you want to buy a gift card for someone, it makes you think about that. Yes. Not to mention, and this is probably a topic for a banker or another show, which is that some of these, such as even the beloved Starbucks that everybody has come to know and love so well, but how all the gift cards in that ends up creating a bank. They in essence a bank where they're holding these funds, but they're not necessarily under the banking regulations. So they have it's an interesting scenario to see how this plays out in our future as more and more of this happens. Well, let's go back to missing money. tell us a little bit about, if we had an inkling that there was something out there for us, what would we do first besides buy your book? I mean, it's $14, I believe, in a hard copy, $10 in a Kindle, or around
It's
that.
16 and 10 in all of the ebook formats.
Okay.
And it may be in your local library. If it isn't, ask them to buy it so that it's available to a wider range of people that may not be able to afford it. I'm sorry, what was the question?
It was, tell us where to start. So if we think we have missing money, we have somebody we want to look for, where would we start?
You want to go to unclaimed.org, and just those two words, unclaimed.org. If you put anything else in, it will take you to a site or to sites where they want to charge you. Never pay for an online search.
Okay.
With unclaimed.org, you can check any state you've ever lived in. And I always find more by going state by state as opposed to going to the other site. First of all, unclaimed.org is the official site of the National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators. Okay. The other site that you may hear about is missingmoney.com. They are endorsed by NAPA, National Association of Unclaimed Property Administrators, but not all states participate. So let's say you live in California or New York or Georgia, any of the states that don't participate, even though you may have money in those states, if that's the only place you go to look, you won't find it. Okay. And that's why I advocate everybody goes and looks state by state. And some people will go, well, I've lived in, a dozen states. Well, check a dozen states.
Well, and tell me a little bit, because I know that as people are busy or they get discouraged in the process, I know that you've been available for some quick consults when it's pretty easy for you to respond. People can either interact with you on your Facebook page, or they can private message, or even give you a ring. But there are times when people do have an inkling, or they begin to get some insight that there is more out there. How can they engage you, Mary? What if I were to hire you? What would that look like?
That can vary depending on what the needs are, and I can't quote a price until I know what the needs are, and I can estimate my time invested into it.
Sure. Well, and when I think of that, Mary, and I've had a little bit of this conversation before, but the idea that having someone like yourself who's skilled and able to really facilitate and accelerate actually the process, because you know where to look and what to look, and you're not going to get discouraged, is that I think it's well worth the investment. And not necessarily, I wasn't asking for a quote exactly, but just the process of it. There's a discovery process to see a little bit about your history probably, and then the tools that you would need to do the search for them.
Right. And I don't do a basic search for people. A lot of people will say, hey, look me up. I don't do that. I'll tell them where to go, and if they're not motivated enough to do it themselves, then that's okay.
Well, and if they feel like there's something more, they can certainly hire you for that. When you think of the case where the gal, the finder fee, they wanted $100,000. If they paid you a small stipend or paid you to help with that, it would be well worth to have gotten $300,000, et cetera. So, part of it's relative. The other is the value of people's time, that there are times when you've got a busy leader that doesn't have the time to do the legwork necessarily, but would like that done just to close the question mark in their mind.
Right, especially for corporations. A lot of people don't realize that businesses have money out there. For example, the average person, if you looked at Merrill Lynch in New York, would find about 2,500 listings. I can find over 5,000.
Wow. Yeah, that was something we didn't talk about, was do businesses have missing money?
Yes. Not only do they have to turn unclaimed property over to the state, most of them don't realize to look for unclaimed property in their own name. And that's from small mom and pop businesses to mega corporations.
Wow. Again, it's just that's stunning to me. The idea, I never would have thought to look in a business name. So, boy, think about the opportunities that are out there. Now let's talk for a second about the tie-in to the National Holocaust Day this year, where you were able to put the pieces together, connect the dots for those that were in the Holocaust, that their rightful assets were seized and the justice that's beginning to come about.
Yes. This year, both National Find Your Missing Money Day and Holocaust Remembrance Day are on April 16th. There's a movie coming out today on April 3rd called Woman in Gold. It's based on the true story of a woman who took the Austrian government to court to get a portrait of her aunt returned to her. And the portrait was actually done by Gustav Klimt, which is a fairly famous artist. So the Austrian government did not want to let go of it. But she fought and she won. So spoiler alert there. But the Holocaust Claims Processing Office works to reunite heirs of the Holocaust with assets that were left in banks, including safe deposit boxes, money that was due to beneficiaries that was never paid from life insurance policies, and for artworks that were lost, stolen, or sold under duress. Exciting movies, right? At the same time as all of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of this year. I mean, here we are talking about this on Passover today. Actually, that's just an interesting feature to pull out. That as we are in remembrance, as we're coming up on the National Holocaust Remembrance Day, that that an injustice that was done to a people group, and injustices that are done to people groups all over the world, but in particular, how those assets were seized and now are beginning to come to light. So, Woman in Gold, we certainly endorse the movie. Watching the trailer was pretty exciting, and to know that your tie-in to that's part of what you're doing is you're helping return justice for things that are rightfully belong to other people. So yes. I appreciate your heart for that and your tenacity to continue to make sure that information is available.
This is my passion. This is what lights my fire.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, before we wrap up, is there any words for our audience or our viewers that are watching, anything that you would encourage or challenge them to do for themselves?
Yes, absolutely. Go to unclaimed.org, look for yourself, look for deceased family members, and here's a few steps that you can use to prevent your money from going to the state. First of all, open your mail. I know that sounds simple, but you'd be surprised the number of calls I get that people say, I had an envelope, I didn't open it, there was I can't find the money because the company said turned it over to the state. Open your mail.
Okay.
Cash every check as soon as possible. Have a customer-initiated activity on your account at least once a year. By that, it means for banking accounts, make a deposit, make a withdrawal, call and check on the balance, make sure they have your address. It doesn't matter that you haven't moved in 25 years. What matters is you have taken steps to let them know that you are there, you know the account is there. Do this also for your stocks. If you've been current on your utility payments, ask to have your utility deposit refunded in the form of a credit on your bill. And if you have a life insurance policy, please update your beneficiary contact information. You may find that the beneficiary is someone who has already died, or it may be an ex-spouse or other person that you don't want to have it. Having a will does not matter. The Supreme Court has ruled that the beneficiary designation trumps the will.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Good to know. Wow. I hope that everyone who's been viewing this and who views this in the future will one, be challenged and encouraged to take a look for yourself and see if you have found money waiting to be reconnected with you, and make sure you visit the littlebookofmissingmoney.com website to get Mary's book and download her free chapter, Finder's Fees, To Pay or Not. Like her page on Facebook, Little Book of Missing Money. And
it's certainly Missing Money Book.
Missing Money Book is the Facebook page, and then the National Find Your Missing Money Day, which is April 16th. So we got lots of places to connect with Mary. I look forward to having her as part of our collective community in the Kathy Nelson world. Since I'm a people collector, I love to connect with and connect you with brilliant people who are bringing thoughts and ideas, insights and solutions to the world to help you be more prosperous. So thank you all for the viewing today, and thank you, Mary, so much for your time and your tenacity, and even to get this video done in a way that serves our audiences. So blessings on your day. We will check back with you next week for our next interview series.
Bye-bye.